I'm McKinney Smith. In 2009, while going through a divorce, I decided to jump straight into entrepreneurship. In 2012, I lost my sister and asked myself, what legacy do I want to leave behind? Since then, I've become a serial entrepreneur, helping other women publish their books, produce their podcasts, and reach their big goals to walk in their greatness. I realized the importance of sharing our stories of resilience and how it can be another's guide to walk in a manner worthy of their calling. We are blessed to be a blessing. So get ready to be blessed with an inspiring testimony. Hey, Faith Walkers. Thank you for joining us in the Walk in My Stilettos podcast, where we have conversations with amazing women that are letting us step into their shoes. I help women to own their voice so they can create impact, prosperity, and legacy. I get inspired when I see another woman succeeding, but what interests me more is her backstory and her mindset on how she got there. So today's guest is about to bless us with her testimony, and since you're already here, you may as well subscribe. Today, we have Chantal Carter. She is an entrepreneur who has worked in the fashion industry for over 20 years as a stylist, image consultant, and magazine style director. Chantal's passion to uplift women of color through fashion caused her to develop a diverse skin tone intimates line called Love Nudes. This brand is more than just fashion. It's a social movement connecting women and celebrating the beauty of difference. She believes apparel and cosmetics should be accessible to all in a manner that allows them to celebrate their skin tone and personal style. So please welcome to the show, Chantal Carter.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story with us.
Yay! I love it.
So I want to jump straight into your story. But before I do that, I love to start the show with an icebreaker question, because I believe that as women, we have all these different titles that we go by, but a title that's not given enough significance is our name, because our names have meaning and our names are said so many times a day. And every time someone says your name, they're basically declaring that meaning to you. So I would love to know, do you know what your name means?
Yes, I do. My name is French, Chantal, and it means she sings.
I love it.
And I can't sing. I'm actually getting better. I think God is with me now that when I'm singing hymns, I'm sounding better.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so it's a work in progress. So I'm excited about that. But before, Lord have mercy, I could not sing. So it's like, why do I have this? But that's what my name means. She sings.
Okay. I believe that most times, whatever we decide to become or pursue in life is either directly connected or indirectly connected to what we wanted to be when we were little, when our imagination was vivid and before society and the world tried to conform us. There are some people that end up going down a different route because that's what, they were expected to do or they were told to do. But I find that some people or most people come back around. Actually, I take that back. Not most people. Many people end up coming back around and deciding to live their passion and to pursue things that have strong meanings to them. So I would love to know, Chantal, what did you want to be when you were a little girl?
Girl, I've come back. I'm one of those people that come back around from the expectations. And you're so accurate. When I was young, I wanted to be a buyer, like a fashion buyer. My mom, I was born and raised in Montreal, and that was the fashion capital of Canada. And my mom worked in the garment industry. So I was always surrounded by that. I looked so cute when I was young. I had the cutest clothes. Yeah. And we knew what sample sales were before anybody. that was about, right? So I always had the freshest clothes. So it's innate for me, and that's what I wanted to be. And then I remember my brother said to me, "Oh, what if you end up being a buyer for like Kmart's or something?" I was appalled at that at the time because Kmart, I know I'm dating myself here, was like the cheap the cheap dry store back in like the 80s. And I didn't want that. So I pushed that out of my head quickly. And, I kind of bounced around. I still was very interested in fashion, but didn't know how I'd pursue it. And then I remember looking at, because we always got magazines like Essence, Vogue, there was always fashion magazines in my house. And eventually, when I got a little bit older, maybe in my late teens, I was interested in the commercials and the editorials. And I asked myself, well, who's dressing these people? How do you get to do this? So I was really curious about it. But, my parents, like my mother, encouraged me to go into nursing. She told me, yeah, it's safe. You'll always have a job because people will always be sick. So you will always have a job,
Yeah.
Now I look back on that, I'm like, Mom, did you know me? You didn't know me. Because it's like, I am so not that person. I ended up going to college and taking nursing, and how sad I was when I had to do my stage or my co-op at the hospital. Just the smell alone in the hospital made me ill. It wasn't for me. So I spent a lot of time in misery trying to do what other people wanted me to do. And I'm happy to say that I've come full circle from that. Still working on it, but I've come full circle for that. And I can't be more relieved. I feel like I've been released from a prison.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of the women that come to me for coaching, they've reached that point where they're tired of, they've worked years in a career that they really don't enjoy, or that they hate, or that makes them so unhappy because that's what they were expected to do by their parents or family members or society. And they are at a place where they're ready to actually pursue things that they are passionate about and that they love. And those are the things that really bring us joy. So tell us how you've come full circle now. Tell us your story to how you've been able to build this brand, Love Nudes.
Well, it's like you said, I spent a lot of years doing BS I didn't want to do because that's what everybody else was doing. And I struggled for a long time. I worked in customer service. I worked in a call center. Oh my gosh, I still get anxiety. Answering phone call after phone call of miserable people. And I thought that, and it just seemed like everybody else was doing the same thing. And I remember there was just miserable people at work, nice people, but miserable. And I remember asking somebody, so why don't you just quit? I was like, I can't. I got a house to pay for. And I remember saying to myself, I never want to be in that position where I'm stuck because I got bills. So I have to get up and do a job that I hate every day. Really stood out for me. But I got to tell you, it took a long time for me to get to Love Nudes, right? I worked as a stylist, and how I ended up doing that because I couldn't take working in the call center anymore. And I went back to school in fashion. So I thought maybe that could save me somehow. And it did, because I met, when I went to school, I met a magazine editor and I connected with her. I did my co-op working at the magazine, assisting the stylist. And eventually, when the stylist couldn't do, because she worked freelance too, that means it wasn't like a permanent job, right? She had other jobs. And so when she had better paying jobs, eventually I got to do the styling and editorial for the magazine. And that was huge for me. I look back and that was one of the fun times of my working life, because I got to be creative, right? So the writer would come up with a story and I'd have to find clothes that weren't there to go with it, because we worked a season ahead, because we were a retailer. It was a trend magazine for retailers to direct them to what to buy. So I really got to see, okay, what was coming before anybody else did. So that was really, really cool. And I got to build up a portfolio from there, and which parlayed me into working freelance as a stylist for like different, like for music videos or for, let's say, like the Bay. And one thing, while I was working as a stylist, I saw that the models, the dark models would come in and they wouldn't have undergarments that nude for us. They wouldn't have that, but the white models did. And that was expected, right? You come with your nude undergarments because when you have something that matches your skin tone, then your undergarments won't show through whatever it is you're wearing.
Right.
And that was the goal. So it's like, I saw that was already stressful because they don't have that. So they either have to be naked, MacGyver something, wear black, you know? And I'm like, okay, kind of like, what's up with that? And they would also come with their own foundation for makeup because they that the makeup artist wouldn't have their shade. So I saw all of that. And because I was so entrenched in fashion, whenever fashion shows, like the one that was on, what was it called? I can't remember. Eye on Fashion? I can't remember. Anyway, like shows that would come on and they would talk about nude. I'd always wait for them to be talking about me too, or my other melanated sisters, and it would never happen. So I think it was born out of that, what I saw. I pursued creating Love and Nudes. Love and Nudes was born for that. But it was a process, you know, like to get to where I am now.
I can only imagine. Like, I think about when you mentioned the models, you know, not having nude underwear for the models of color, and then the same thing with makeup. I can totally relate to that because I actually went to college for aesthetics and spa management, and doing a makeup course, like the makeup course was a part of that. And in our kit that we paid for, they didn't have shades for the colored girls in the class. There was one shade, which was not only way too dark, but way too orange. And how we would have to maneuver and the things that we would have to do in order to pass certain parts of the class. And I can, you know, freely speak this now because I'm not in that industry, but my classmate that I had to do for my exam, she was a woman of color. There was no foundation to match her skin, and we were being graded on that. So we skipped the foundation completely, and I just put powder over top after we did her makeup. And the teacher thought that I totally mixed the colors to do her foundation. But I was like, I am not failing this because you didn't provide me with the tools to succeed. So,
oh my gosh, the stress of that. So they want to see what you can come up with, but you didn't give me the tools to succeed. Oh, God.
But that is why I love that you've created Love and Nudes so that the models can feel comfortable. Like, can you imagine a model who feels completely uncomfortable, how those would come across in their work, right?
Well, yeah, because it seemed like that's stressful before I even have done anything. I don't, like you said, you don't have the equipment or things or the products that you need. And I went through the same thing with that makeup kit. There was like women of color, like when I went to college and for fashion, there was a makeup track, and like these are all white people colors. Hello, we want to wear this too. And it was expensive at the time. But I tell you, I went to, because we got it from MAC. I changed up stuff with a fight. I had to go to this MAC, that MAC, because people were like, oh, well, I had to accept what was in my kit too. So I'm not changing your stuff for you. Like some mean stuff. But you see, we have MacGyver make things work for us. So, yeah, I totally hear that.
So on your website, there's a quote that caught my attention where it says, believe in your own beauty. And that stuck out to me because for many reasons, I love that. But I want to know, like, what does that mean for you? Especially for that to be the first quote that I see when I go to your website.
That quote came to me because Black women and women of color, but I find especially Black women, we're always in the shadows. We are the backbone of our communities. We do so much for our families, for our communities, in our churches. We are pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it twisted. Okay. The way you dress, the way the people talk in mainstream media, that comes from us.
Mm-hmm.
But yet we're cast in the background, invisible, not shown in the media in a positive light. And on top of that, there's no products, or you're hard pressed to find products that look like us.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't see things that represent you, you'll internalize that
Right.
you're not significant, you're not beautiful, you're
Mm-hmm.
not relevant, and you're not important. That
Mm-hmm.
message, you feel like it's in your subconscious, because over and over again, it's validated. You don't see yourself anywhere. And I want women to know, and people of color to know, that that's not true. Just
Mm-hmm.
because it's putting out certain messages, because it's people who don't look like us that are in charge for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know our stories. They don't know our struggles, but that doesn't mean that we're not beautiful and we're not relevant. And it's time to end this cancer of that colonialism has caused, and showing the world and having people believe that white is right and
Mm-hmm.
the lighter are, the better you are. And when I was doing my research on Love Nudes, I discovered through my research is that skin bleaching is a $10 billion industry.
Yep.
And that was like maybe about 10 years ago, I did that research. And that's what really catapulted me into my why I was doing what I was doing. Because at first I wanted it to be because I just want to wear fashion the way I want to, and other women should be able to too. But when I heard about the skin bleaching, or I saw that stat, that hurt my heart, because it's people who are, I feel like, bleaching their skin to fit into what society deems as acceptable beauty,
Right.
which is light skin. And it's not true. We're all different. We're all beautiful, no matter what tone we are. And I wanted, especially Black women and women of color, to know that. I wanted to put that message out there. I am putting that message. We're not all the same, and that's okay. Right. You know? So I think it's such an important message. Don't believe the hype.
There was an interesting stat that I seen the other day, especially in the South Asian community. I believe it's India has the highest rate of people that are bleaching their skin. So all people of color, melanated skin, because of what has been ingrained in our paradigm as to what is better or what is superior or what is right. There's colorism within our own communities, unfortunately, because we've attached that to the identity of who we are. And especially with the images that are used for models, or the lighter skinned model or the lighter skinned actress or things like that, that are given preferential choice over the darker skin, right? And
oh yeah,
it's like, when we are thinking about the identity of who we are and belonging, like you spoke earlier about representation, how much it matters, especially for when we're looking at things visually. And identity can be both good or bad, depending on who we are allowing to make that definition. Because if we look at the definition for what is a woman or different types of women, typically that definition has been over time created by men, right? And it's only now, as women, we are starting to take our power back and create those own definitions for ourselves. But the same goes for when it comes to Black people. If we look at what's been happening, especially, with the racial pandemic and everything that's happening around that, where we're looking at the definition where people of color have been defined by white people. So power is usually given to the definer. But if we take the power back and make those definitions for ourselves, then we basically put ourselves back in a place of power, which is why I love that you've created Love Nudes and you have these intimate wear undergarments for women of color so that we can feel powerful in our own skin and underneath our clothing and, when we're out and about.
Well, yeah, I call it, sometimes I say it's your armor. that's how I describe it's like it's an armor because
Mm-hmm.
so many microaggressions and nonsense out there in the world just because based on the way we look and stereotypes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to put that on in the morning as like her protection, as her armor, something that looks like her, something that's beautiful, something that's functional, because let's face it, like I didn't want you to have to struggle to, okay, what bra do I wear with this top? you know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had that happen to me. I put on the bra and it's like I put on the top. Also, oh crap, I can't wear this bra with this top because I can see it, or you know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
want it to be a seamless, stress-free experience and something that embodies our beauty and
Mm-hmm.
getting connected to what our beauty is, regardless of the shade. And here is something that looks like you.
Mm-hmm. See,
Start off your day. Mm-hmm.
I love how you've created something to help remove the struggles for others and to provide stress-free experiences. And I know that life itself has not been that way for you. I've seen you've had some blogs on your site where, you speak to your struggles with fibroids,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, depression. I would love
Mm-hmm.
to dig deeper into some of the struggles that you've overcome or that you are still working through as you continue to inspire.
Yeah, I've been becoming a little bit more transparent about speaking to my struggles because it's like, yeah, I don't want the highlight reel. I don't
Mm-hmm.
subscribe to,
Mm-hmm.
because as I get into business more and more, the deeper I get in, I see that a lot of things are smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
Like everybody thinks, and it's the way people perceive me too. Oh, you're so successful. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, I have struggles too, and I struggled like for I think since my 20s with depression and an anxiety, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I thought I was flawed. I thought something was wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
What I see now, I wasn't living authentically. I was living how other people expected me to live and suppressing my feelings because they were made wrong. I was told I was too much, you're too this, you're too that. And so, like, I was managing or struggling with depression for years. I would medicate with, okay, I drink a lot, constantly drinking wine or whatever. When I felt like stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
eventually medication. I still do, to help calm my anxiety. I have people that I work at, coaches that help me to repattern the
Mm-hmm.
conditioning that I live with so long and it kind of creates like new pathways in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
in your nerves. So I can think differently than what I was thinking like how I was thinking before, because it was very scary starting a
Mm-hmm.
business. I used to think, how can a depressed person have a business? How?
Right.
But now God was with me and pushed me along. I still pursued it because I didn't see any other alternative. I spent 20 years of my life looking for the perfect opportunity, looking outside for it. And I can tell you in that time, a handful of times I found something that I was inspired by, but it never panned out for me. So I felt like it was depressing being laid off
Mm-hmm.
again. And the last time I got laid off, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to pursue something that works for me.
Right.
Yeah, that works for me. And it's good because it's like I can do things kind of on my schedule. I don't have to
Right.
put up with things I don't want to put up with. And I'm learning. I'm always learning. It's challenging. And I'm in a constant state of discomfort. But it's good now because I have people that support me. Like I think it's really important to have a coach and a
Yep.
mentor in your life to help you get out of your own head. And I tell you, this last, I think maybe about 8 months, I've been doing things with ease and grace and not like pushing a boulder uphill anymore, because I have that support to help to manage my depression or my anxiety about things or the way I think about things. And for a long time, I felt a lot of shame that I was depressed. I thought something was wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm inspired by hearing other people talk about their struggle with depression, because it's like, oh my gosh, I can see myself in that. Okay.
Right.
I'm not a loser.
Yeah. You're able to connect on a deeper level, like the social proof.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I think it's so important for me now to reveal, what I go through in real time too. Not, everything is perfect. In time, these are my struggles. This is what I'm facing, because I want to be able to inspire somebody else or let someone else know that, okay, it's not only them, they're not alone.
Right.
Because I used to feel really alone and like, I can't. Who am I to have a business when I'm depressed? Because how am I going to make it work when I get depressed and I have to check out? But you know what? To check out, I check out. And I don't guilt myself for it,
right.
So yeah, that's kind of how I handle myself. I work on stop judging. I don't judge myself as harshly anymore. Every morning I fill out a form. I fill out something that asks me how I'm going to show up for the day and what I need to forgive from the day before.
That's powerful.
It is. It seems like a little thing, but it isn't, because I realize how much guilt and shame I carried around. Well, I didn't do this, or I'm not good enough, or, oh, look at them. They look like they have this, that, and the other. Look at her on the Instagram live. Look at this, what she's doing. Look what's happening with her. Why am I not getting that?
Right.
It's not true. We all have our own type of struggle. I kind of step away. I use social media for what I need to, but I don't get caught up in it, because I know it's a high reel and there's a lot of negativity there as well. So I have to pick who I follow as well, because there's some awesome people there too who inspire me and help me, found in that way. But I'm really careful. So
I think it's very important that you spoke to all of those points. I think that it's very brave and courageous of you to speak openly about your struggles with depression and anxiety while you're running your business, but to understand how important that is, that your story and you being transparent can be someone else's tools or motivation that they need to be able to do the same. You being transparent that it's not perfect. And, when you spoke to, when people say like you're successful and what does that mean? And I agree with you, because I feel that success looks different to everyone. It's based on our values, based on what we choose to value. And as much as it's great to have the accolades, to me, success is the fact that I've been able to keep a roof over my children's head and keep food in their mouths after all of these years of being a single parent. So to me, that is success. But to someone else, it would be the figures or the numbers or, things like that. So you have to look at what's of value to you to determine that. But you have not only been true to yourself, and I think the fact that you spoke to coaches and mentors. I strongly believe in coaches, mentors, and therapists. I talk about this a lot.
All the time.
All the time, right? Like, I think maybe, I don't know.
And
I've
these
lost
podcasts.
I was going to say, I don't know. I've lost count on how many women I've interviewed for the podcast at this point. I've interviewed between the podcast and IG Live over 150 women, but I always ask questions about the importance of having a mentor or a coach and how that's helped you along the way. And I love when women open up and speak about therapy, because I'm going to say, especially in the Black community, it's only now becoming something people are more comfortable speaking about because of culturally the stigmas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, she's sick in the head. She crazy. She this, I don't know what's wrong with you. Oh, no.
Exactly. So I love when women come on and are transparent about the importance of mentors, coaches, and therapists in their lives, because other women need to hear that. Other women need to hear that it's okay. Other women need to hear that as much as you may appear strong, that we all need support systems in place so that we can maintain and continue to be strong. And I feel like even the image of what strong is to someone, it doesn't have to be that woman who is independent and doing everything on her own. It doesn't have to be that woman who is only shining on social media. Strong is yourself who is openly speaking about you having to work through your anxiety and depression to still run your business. Strong is you being able to say to yourself, you know what? I've had enough of being laid off. I am going to create a business that is also attached to my passion. So I am serving others, but it's also doing what's best for me. Like, you know what I mean? Strength and courage doesn't have to be the loud, rah, rah, rah. It can be in just how you choose to live your life on purpose, with purpose every day.
Oh, I love that. On purpose, not on autopilot, not by default, which was what I was doing before. And I was like, yeah, no, that's part of the misery. It's like, I am so happy to talk about personal development because I feel like that's kind of what saved my life. Because I have had thoughts of suicide and, like I knew I couldn't do it because it's like, I have a son, I can't go out like that. But I entertained the thoughts of, oh, how much easier it would be if I was just dead, because this is, coping with these emotions or this black cloud that follows me around. And and I'm finding I'm navigating my way through it with help. Yes, with therapy, with repatterning. With all of that, changing my thoughts, removing toxic people or limiting toxic people.
Boundaries.
I didn't even know what boundaries were until this year. I did not know boundaries were. What's that? I think I used to hear a Kardashian talk about Kourtney Kardashian. She talked about boundaries. I was like, what is she talking about? This weird thing. I get it now. I didn't know what that was. And I don't even think that I've ever seen a healthy relationship between a man and a woman where people had boundaries. I realized I've just seen a bunch of dysfunction now.
Wow.
So now I know, okay, what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And I remove myself, or I can let people know, you know what, I wasn't feeling that, or it makes me feel like maybe this is not your intention, but I felt this when, is that what you meant?
Communicating.
Instead of just, and like, that's another thing, like learning to communicate more effectively. So yeah.
Wow.
So work in progress.
I can totally relate. And once again, this is why I thank you for this, because it opens up the doorway for other people to feel more comfortable sharing their experiences or talking about their experiences. And I know this, just even hosting this podcast it's been therapeutic for me, because not only do I get to have these deep conversations with other strong women who are also inspiring at the same time, but it also opens up another avenue for me to also be transparent about parts of my life. And I've always been, I'm going to say, pretty transparent, even when I was just only on Facebook, and people are like, wow, did she really just post that? I would share parts of my personal life. I never had an issue with that. And now with the podcast, having these conversations with you women, it's almost created an even bigger community, because when other women hear your stories, they come back into my DMs and they are thanking us for having this conversation, or they're in my DM sharing their story of how they connected with your story and such. So it's beautiful for me. It's definitely therapeutic for me. And I am grateful to every one of you women who have come on and just been so open and transparent about your journeys. Like when I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression back in 2006, I was kind of like, I was like, I refused to accept that. That was my mentality around it back then. And like you said personal development saved your life. I say that every day. Personal development saved my life. It allowed me to not only understand how we think, why we think that way, but to put coping mechanisms in place to reprogram.
Coping mechanism. Yes.
The coping mechanism, right? Yeah. To reprogram how we function, and so that we are able to thrive, and that even when we have our down moments, because they still happen, but even when you have your down moments, you recover quicker because you now have things in place. Like you said, your form that you fill out every morning, your routines, right? Because the results are in the routine. So I just want to thank you for that. So I want to know, like, when and where are you the happiest?
You know what? I'm like right now, because I find that I'm fluid, and that's okay. I'm not fixed. This is the way I am, and that's it. I'm seeing that I'm very fluid, and I'm okay with change. Before, I didn't want to be by myself because I realized that I was afraid. You know what I mean? I didn't want to think of certain things, but now I feel like I am happiest now by myself. You know, like I'm rediscovering me and being open to self-care instead of feeling guilty about it. You know what? I need a manicure. I'm going to do that instead of feeling guilty about, you're spending money on that when you need to spend money. You need the money for something else. No, my value, I'm valuable and I need to treat myself. And that means self-care. And it doesn't always mean spending money. It's like, okay, it's taking a break, it's reading. So I'm doing all of those things now, listening to podcasts, yours, while I work. I'm happiest doing that. Being, and I'm not saying, I don't want to be around people, but I think I'm happiest now because I've rediscovered being good with me.
Right. You know what? Quick question for you. Do you feel that you're more on the introverted side?
I think I'm an extroverted introvert.
Oh, ambivert.
Because before I was more like, all out there. But I find as the years have gone by, I kind of like to pick my spots. Or if I'm in a room with a bunch of people, I get tired after a while. It's like, I'm done. I'm good for about like an hour.
Yeah, those are definitely introverted qualities.
So it's like, okay, I'm good now. I just feel tired, and like I need to. And I even notice, even with a bunch of friends, I like to kind of go off by myself and be in the corner by myself and zone out, or you know what I mean? Yeah,
I do. And that is why I asked the question, because it sounds like your tendencies. There's actually a book called Quiet. I don't know what the subtitles, I can't remember at the moment, but I read it this year, and it helped me to feel more comfortable as an introvert. I think the subtitle was something along the lines of like owning your voice as an introvert in this noisy world, or something along those lines. But basically, it helps you to understand your introverted qualities, how those are actually strengths, and how to utilize them so that you can feel more confident with those qualities. Because the world has favored over time people who are extroverted because they appear more outgoing, and they're talkative, and all those qualities that companies want to hire and universities used to look for in their applicants. And that would leave out the introverts who are highly creative and have other highly intuitive and genius genes. So when you get a chance, read that book and let me know what you think.
I'm putting that in my phone to look at that, because you know what? Since I've been working on my depression and mentoring, I feel like I'm coming into my own. I'm getting more and more creative. I think COVID helped too, because we couldn't do anything. So I'm stepping into creativity like more and more. And really, I'm very intuitive. I
Yeah.
can feel things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what guides me. Like I feel I feel an energy. I always have had that. If I don't vibe,
Yeah,
if there's
I get
something
it.
off, I back away. You know what I mean? Even in a space, I don't like the space. Something don't feel right in here. I gotta leave.
Totally understand. So
Yeah. And I realize like I'm not being all bougie and whatever. It's just, it's just my intuition that's like speaking to me. And I'm paying attention now
honor
more
that.
and more.
Honor that.
Yes.
So before we go to the final segment of the show, I want you to tell the people where they can stay connected with you online.
Okay. You can support Love Nudes by going to loveandnudes.com. So that's www.loveandnudes. So love and nudes.com. And that's my website. You can check out and purchase our skin tone products for you, for someone else. And some new things are happening. You can join our mailing list too, our VIP mailing list. And I'm on Instagram as well. So that's at Love and Nudes on Instagram, or Facebook at Love and Nudes. So yeah.
Perfect.
Those places are good.
I will definitely have the links in the detailed section of your episode so people can just click and they won't have to search too far.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, come out, come find me, come support, come look. Like we need the support for our communities, to grow. Like we're awesome women, fierce women.
Yes.
Thing. Yeah, we need more of that.
So the final segment of the show, I call it A Walk in Her Wisdom. And it's just a couple of quick reflection questions, and you share the first thing that comes to mind. It can either be one word or one sentence.
Okay. Sounds fun. Okay.
Name one of the most worthwhile investments that you've ever made. And that could be money, time, energy.
Oh, my mentor, my business coach.
Love it. Name a book that has changed or greatly impacted your life.
A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Love it. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why?
It would be a billboard, and I fantasized about this, with women of color saying, own your tone. That means own your skin and own your voice, with a beautiful of women of color and skin tone intimates. That's what the billboard would say.
I love that. That is going to be the title of your episode.
Own your tone. Yeah, it's my tagline. Own your tone, own your voice, own your story, own your skin tone. That's what makes you uniquely who you are. Beautiful.
I love that. Love it. Okay. What have you become better at saying no to in the last 5 years? And that could be distractions, invitations, family.
No to family, like other, bending to her will. It's just standing up for myself. So I've been able to say, I'm becoming better at saying, no, I don't feel like doing that.
Love it. Love it. And last but not least, what do you wish women would do more of?
I wish women would not be afraid of their own their voices, or be afraid to make mistakes, because making mistakes is where you learn. It's like, I call it failing forward. Somebody said that to me forward. I love that. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because if you're not making a mistake, you're not growing, you're not changing, and you're regressing, or you're going backwards.
I love it. Wow. And on that note, Chantal, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us and being so transparent. I truly appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. we're all connected. I am thankful that you have this platform for other women, especially women of color, to relate to. It's very hard to find Black voices and out there, and I'm really honored to be part of this, and I'm looking forward to listening to more of your podcasts going forward and hearing about other fabulous women's stories. So yeah, so we can like connect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
To you, and thank you for stepping into your power and believing in yourself to do that. It gives other people permission to do the same.
I received that. Thank you, Chantal. Thank you. And so
You're
all
welcome.
of you faith walkers out there, until next time, make sure that you subscribe on all platforms. Don't forget to rate the show and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And you can join the community of faith walkers and sign up for our weekly newsletter at awalkinmystilettos.com. And be sure to grab one of my personal development books available online everywhere. And if you could think of one person that would resonate with Chantal's story, please share it with them. Feel free to screenshot this week's episode, and you can tag us on Instagram. You can tag Chantal at Love Nudes, and you can tag myself at The Real McKinney Smith, and continue to walk in greatness in your stilettos in a manner worthy of your calling.